This is the Confused Mother podcast, and I'm your host, Gitanjali More. The holidays can be a very stressful time for parents. Children get too many sweets, you feel pressured to buy lots of expensive things, cook fancy food, and then the fights begin. It gets even more difficult if you have another job in addition to managing all of this. Today I've invited Sara Redolfi for a chat about all of these things and more. Sara is 36 years old, has 2 children, and lives in Berlin. But she was born in Vienna in Austria and moved around a lot as a child, so it was natural that she thought of developing her career as a diplomat. And she's been working on a very interesting project for mothers and parents who are extremely busy. We're going to hear more about that in the course of this interview. Welcome, Sara, and thank you for speaking to me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our discussion and our meeting.
Sara, tell us a little bit about yourself. How many kids do you have? What do you do?
I'm a diplomat, but I'm at the moment not working as one. I'm building my own business, and I have 2 kids, 7 and 2 years old.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I said in the introduction, that you said you moved around a lot as a child. So how did that feel for you back then? And how has it affected the way you live your life as a parent now?
Well, my parents met each other during their studies in Vienna. Both were originally not from Vienna. My father is from northern Italy and my mother from Bavaria. And they met in Vienna. They stayed there for a few years. I was born there. And then when I was 5 years old, they decided to move to northern Italy. And of course, they took me with them. And for me, it felt horrible. I can only say horrible. I think kids experience such things differently. For some, it's more exciting and they maybe identify more within their close family. But for me, I'm a very social person. I've always had very strong relationships with my friends. I came into I went to Kita from 1 year old, which was very progressive in those days. But
Yeah.
of course, I was very involved in my Kita, my friends, and suddenly all that changed. And because I identified very much with my surroundings, once those surroundings were cut, I felt very not not even isolated, but not stable anymore.
Okay.
I'm very shaken, and this is one of the reasons why I'm currently not working as a diplomat anymore. Because
Okay.
of course, as a diplomat, you move a lot, you travel a lot, and for me as an adult, I really liked the experience. I chose to be a diplomat because I got used to traveling, to experience other cultures, to learn other languages. I really enjoyed that. And my husband was even very willing to be a mitausweisender Partner, so co-traveling husband or partner, and was really looking forward to assuming that role of lying next to the swimming pool, reading a book.
Oh, that sounds ideal.
But then as our son got older, when he was almost 1 year old, we really had to decide, like, do we want to move in the summer? In the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we always move in the summer. So do we really want to do that or not? And I saw in him a lot of the traits that I have. He's very social. He orients himself very much in his surroundings, and I had the feeling that it would be destabling for him as it was for me as a kid. So we decided to tell the ministry, no, we will not go to wherever you wanted to send us. We will stay in Berlin.
And I mean, I was just thinking about what you said, that your partner has to be also willing to do all of this, right? To agree to a life of a kind of like a nomadic life, to move around a lot, and then also take on the responsibility of raising the family accordingly. And I think that if your partner can work from anywhere, then it's possible. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. So how has this affected you as a parent, like this decision, and also yourself, this decision to stay in one place now? How has it impacted your children? Do they know anything about it? And how do you feel about it? Because you said that you chose this line of work because that's the kind of person you are, right? And now suddenly you have to go against all of that. So how does
Um,
it make you feel?
Actually, I think it's a very good decision for us and also for me. Before Berlin, I stayed for 4 years in Moscow, which was very
Hmm.
adventurous, but also
Um, I'm sure.
um, also a bit hard because not every city is a city that you really want to live in. And with
Hmm.
the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have to give them at least 15 countries where you would be willing to go next. And of course, you don't really want to live in every of these 15 countries. So more often than not, it's a compromise. And Berlin for me is not
Hmm.
a compromise. I really love Berlin. It has its, of course, also downsides.
Like what? I would be curious to know what are the downsides.
Mm, I hate the traffic.
I think
No,
everyone hates the
yes.
traffic here. Even if you don't own a car, you hate the
Hmm.
traffic. Yeah. Hmm.
And of course, like I've lived in Moscow for 4 years. That's just a whole other level of noise and traffic. But back then, I didn't have a family.
Hmm.
And I think once you have kids, you are more aware of your of like dangers for your kids. But also for me, I have just much more noise that is like constant mama, mama, mama. And yeah,
Okay,
so,
yeah. That's a second audio
yes,
input.
yeah, audio input, and also you have to be aware of like, are they killing themselves? Is something dangerous coming? I'm just hyper all the time, and with this hyper awareness, of course, you're much more aware of traffic noises. And
And you live in the city, right? You don't live in the
I live
outskirts.
directly in the city.
In the city, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's we also live like at very close to a traffic light, and so there's always ambulances and police cars and
Mhm.
so on going around. And I think that when we go to visit family in other places that are not in Berlin, that's when you realize how stressful the
Mhm.
noise really is once it's
Yes.
gone. And you think, oh my God, it can actually be this quiet and this
Yeah,
peaceful.
I can actually hear the wind in the leaves, or I can actually hear the birds. You here in
Yeah.
Berlin, and yes, and it's just very stressful. So that's for me the stressful thing about living in Berlin, but it has a lot of upsides, a lot. Of family.
Definitely. What do you like the most about living here?
My kids have kind of their village in this big city. We have our friends and even some family living close by. Mm,
Oh, that's great. Yeah. There's such a big support, right? To have this like you said, the village, the community.
yes, and they know their surroundings. Most often we stay in just our part of Berlin, which
Yeah.
is,
As you
yes,
do in a big city.
which is a bit boring for us parents, but for the kids it's great. They know their ways around. They know where is
Mm.
which playground. My son even can walk to school by himself now. He's 7 years old,
Hmm.
and these are such big advantages. I think kids that grow up like this, they grow up very safe and secure.
Yeah. And also like feeling, yeah, like you said, feeling secure in the area because everything is familiar, and they're not subjected to so many shocks, one after the other, right? So, hmm. Yeah. Sarah, I want to also ask you about your life as a working mother. So, recently, especially, I've been seeing a lot on LinkedIn people writing about their experiences as working parents, getting criticized at the workplace, getting criticized by society for working, and they get to hear things like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you left your child and you're going back to work. Who's going to take care of them?" Things like that. And you said that you also have been working, and I want to know if you have faced any of these experiences. Has anyone said something to you? Or do you feel on your own a certain amount of guilt for doing one or the other?
Well, interestingly, I grew up with a working mother. So I have never internalized those rules that women or mothers should not work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm in that lucky position that I often don't even, I'm not that sensitive
That's good.
about yeah, about remarks or maybe like an eye roll or whatever that may be happening. I don't even see those. I don't even
Register them.
register
Yeah.
them. Yes. And years ago, when I went back to work after having my first child, I remember one day being late in a department's meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and like everyone was there. And um, the thing was that my son couldn't go to kindergarten, to Kita, because suddenly all the Erzieherinnen, all the
Mm-hmm.
teachers were sick.
Oh.
No one could notify us.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to bring my son there and then bring him back home to his father.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back to this meet. I was late for this meeting, and I remember the head of department telling him like, "I'm sorry, my son couldn't go to Kita," and I remember him asking me, "Well, where is your son now?"
Okay.
And he is with his father,
Yeah.
of course. And back then, I didn't even register that. Like, but um, only now, years later, I see that maybe for the other parents in this, or especially mothers in this setting, it was very refreshing,
Mm-hmm.
probably, and
Also
to
unusual, I think.
yes,
Yeah.
and to have a young woman like being just very like, what is the problem here? He's with his father. I didn't even understand the question.
But it's such a good thing that for you it felt so normal that you have such a good partner who does like exactly his share of parenting as well, and that it's not an exception or something totally out of the blue. So that's really
Hmm.
good for you.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is. It is. At the same time, I have this very strong sense of fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say every time my partner didn't do his share, and of course sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
60. It's like never 50. It
Exactly.
yeah, it changes. But whenever I felt like something is out of balance here, I felt it's very unfair.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell him, like I would be really like a, I don't know, like a child whose sense of fairness is violated.
Right. I understand that because I feel the same way. There are times when I feel like
Mhm.
I have done a lot more of something,
Mhm.
not overall, but of one particular thing, and then I'll say,
Mhm.
well, maybe you could do it today,
Yeah.
and and I do something else.
Yeah.
But it's really, as you say, and I think that is such an important message, is that parenting should be equal, but that does not necessarily mean 50-50 all the time. There are some days where you give 80% and your partner can only give 20%. Now, let's say, for example, your partner is ill or you are ill, then all the responsibility falls on the other person. So that's also fine if it comes back to the balance after a while. And I think that's just how life works. And I wanted to know your opinion on this because, like this, now we spoke about within the relationship, but do you also agree that this happens when you're looking at your life between work and family? That it's never 50-50 when you talk about things like work-life balance?
That's a difficult question because you asked me about mom guilt, and usually, like, I don't have it in the sense that we usually talk about. Like, I'm away and I have mom guilt, or I work and so I have mom guilt. This I do not have.
That's good.
And when I experience guilt about something, then I just don't do it.
Okay.
I don't think that moms should be guilty for, like, in a lot of cases. So I don't sacrifice a lot of things to not feel mom guilt. I do feel mom guilt is when I'm not in connection with my kids. So if I feel I haven't spent enough time with my elder child, for example, because he just had his younger brother, and I know and I see and I feel that this is not fair, and I'm not spending enough time with him, and I lose the connection to him, even maybe just to some extent, then I feel this mom guilt.
I completely understand that. And how do you deal with it then?
And then I try to balance things again. And then now we come back to your question about how is work and life in balance. And I would say that I always try to prioritize my kids. Of course, that doesn't mean spending time with them 24/7.
Of course.
Of course not. Because I'm also a person with her own life.
Definitely.
Yes, and my kids are their persons with their own life.
Yes.
But I'm trying to spend really quality time and also time with them every day.
Yes. Yeah, this happened to me recently. I had 1 week where I had a lot of meetings and I had a lot of things to get done. And somehow my husband was doing everything. He was getting our daughter dressed, he was taking her to the kita, picking her up, spending time with her, sitting with her while she ate, and I was just not there. And towards the end of the week, I felt like I also genuinely missed her. I said, "Oh my God, I have not seen this girl in so long. I need to fix this." And so I spent the whole weekend with her, and it was just great. We had so much fun. So yeah, I mean, if I think the message here is that you have to just check yourself, make sure that you are listening to yourself as well, right? And then take action accordingly.
Yes, and if you sense that something is not in balance, if it's the kids, spend more time with them.
Yeah.
If it's the work, sacrifice your evenings. Don't watch that Netflix show. To get some work done.
That, like, you've said some really, really important things, so I really appreciate that. There's also, when we're talking about mom guilt and we connect it to now, it's December, today is also Nikolaustag, and everybody is like, the kids are getting presents, Christmas is coming up. When it comes to things like buying gifts or spending time or preparing, I don't know, like getting a Christmas tree, decorating the house, and so many things, a lot of the times we can't do everything, right? And some things fall behind or they get completely left out, and you just have to say, "I'm not doing that this time around." How do you deal with it?
I try to first delegate.
Excellent.
And second, just don't try to get it all done in the week before Christmas, or maybe the even day before Christmas. Like you have a lot of time if you use it wisely and early enough. So try to buy your Christmas presents. Like basically a whole year long, whenever you find something that your kid would like, would enjoy, or your kid tells you what it wants, get it now. And then you basically
So
have
true.
all the presents. That could also backfire, because last Christmas I realized I had just way too many presents. but I benefited from this year because
Perfect.
I got one single present. I still had enough of them.
Yeah, I mean, the way we are doing it this year, I can tell you. So, obviously, all the grandparents want to know what they can gift our daughter. And we've given them some ideas for games and whatever else. And then we are going to give her something really small because, in the larger scheme of things, she's getting a lot of presents. And they don't have to be from us. Um, so that's why we said, okay, let the grandparents gift because for them it's more important. And from us, she will get something small. So, I mean, okay, my daughter's still very little. I don't know what it's like when they get older. I guess it gets a bit more complicated and more expensive. But how do you, because you mentioned, if you plan it properly and so on, do you have some tips for our listeners out there? People who are juggling kids, family visits, full time jobs, and they also want to do all of these things for Christmas.
But I think my first tip is to try not to do it all at once. So, for example, on the first Advent weekend, we always already prepare the tree.
Okay.
Yes.
That's really early.
Yeah. But our tree is already standing, it's already decorated, and we already enjoy it. It's so much easier to really enjoy the mood and the festive season when you have already decorated. It's also for you.
That's
and
true.
honestly, like, who really enjoys seeing all the Christmas decorations after Christmas? I do not.
Mhm. I think there's like Advent in Germany, for example, is a really, really good build up to Christmas. And I think everyone is just so exhausted by the year that Christmas is a time where you're excited and have something to look forward to, which is why there's such a big build up. I mean, I had to laugh. The last few years, you see Christmas sweets in the supermarkets right from September, from like mid or end September. But my
Yeah.
husband forbid me. He was like, listen, we're not buying Christmas sweets till at least the 1st of December.
I honestly don't understand why the supermarkets are putting out all these Christmas treats in September, because every person I know does no one buys that in September. No one buys it before December.
Exactly.
So why are you doing this? I don't know. But there would be my second advice is on the second Advent weekend, for example, we bake the Christmas cookies. And my advice is, especially with children, just bake one or two kinds.
Yeah.
And bake them one day and decorate them the next day. Don't do it all at once, not with the kids. And also, like, more than these two kinds of cookies, don't do it. Ask your families-in-law, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your father to bake them and send them to you. They have time, they enjoy doing it, they enjoy sending the kids some treats, and then you have a variety of cookies, and you don't have to spend the time. And if you really enjoy baking cookies, do it without the kids. Invite some friends for a glass of wine or Glühwein, and
Yeah, that's actually a great tip to try and do it without the kids, but with friends. So it also becomes something that you want to do and not something that you want to do because you have kids. Yeah, but like asking parents and grandparents, it's difficult because, like, especially for people like me whose grandparents or whose parents don't live here. My parents live in India, so it's not possible.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's a decision you have to take. Either you bake like one or two simple cookies with the kids, and then you buy the rest of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my law lives in Bavaria, so of course that's not India. So
it's a lot easier.
It's easier.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, the presents, for example, like not just the buying the presents, but also wrapping the presents. In Germany, it's traditional. I think for a lot of you listeners, it's more the American way of Christmas, that you you open the presents Christmas morning, so morning 25th of December. In Germany, it's traditionally everything is done on 24th of December, like every
Right.
setting up the tree, decorating the tree, yeah, wrapping all the presents, unwrapping the presents. It's horrible. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So we decided to do the American way. It's open the presents in the morning of 25th. And so my
Okay.
husband and I, once the kids are in bed on December 24th, we just open a bottle of wine. We drink, we drink a glass of wine. We talk about the year. No, and we wrap the presents together.
Okay.
So I don't want to do it myself. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah, but you know, my mother-in-law, what she did last year, she didn't even wrap the presents anymore. She said, we're going to do the more environmentally friendly version of this. And she brought like a blanket cover, which was her sack, and all the presents were in there without any wrapping. And then she just pulled out one present after the other, and the grandkids got them, which is also quite a cool idea.
Yes, but I do it a little bit differently. I have a lot of smaller bags. So I have sizes. So whatever the present is, I have one linen bag that this present fits into. And in the beginning, it's kind of investment, but it saves you so much time and hustle, and they can also be used for birthday presents. And
right.
it's done in like no time, I can assure you. It's like in 5 minutes you're done and you have more time to enjoy the wine.
Oh, that's perfect. Enjoying wine is always a good idea.
Yeah.
But now I want to talk to you about this super exciting project that you've been working on. So you said you stopped working as a diplomat. Can you tell us about that and tell us about what you've been working on instead?
Yes, when my son was 2 years old, I was already back to work for. I've been already back at work for a year, I think. And I realized that I don't have as much time anymore to keep memories of his childhood. When I was still at home with him in parental leave, I would write down all the progress he made, the when he took his first steps, what his first word was. At the time then to do it, but back at work there was not time anymore, and often when you're not with your child at home so much anymore as in this first year. Usually with an older child, you're at a playground, you're going shopping or just on a walk. And then something happens, your child says something funny or something that whatever you want to keep a memory of. If you don't do it at once, you just forget it. And
that's true.
Yes. And I realized back at home, I would still know that something funny happened, but I wouldn't know anymore what it was. Like there was something funny. He probably said something. What was it?
Yeah.
And so I thought there must be some better way to do it, not wait for a pen and paper at home. And I thought it would be nice to have a kind of app where you could keep all these precious memories in an orderly way, and, maybe even automatically get it, designed as a book. And I looked for such a product, I couldn't find it, and I couldn't forget about this idea. I thought I cannot believe that something that every parent needs and a lot of parents want, that this does not exist. And so I decided to start this business. It's Memoir. It's an app where parents can keep all these precious milestones and anecdotes and also add the photos every week and not have thousands of photos to go through at the end of the year. So step by step, you build your child's memory book.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that sounds really nice.
Yes, and also we support parents with weekly questions, and it's not as the same as in the books that you buy this in the bookstores. They also have questions, but often they don't really fit your family. Just say, for example, it's not this mother, father, child family, but maybe two mothers and a child, and maybe
All sorts of family.
yes, a
All
single
sorts of
mother.
family setups.
And our questions are personalized and they can really fit the family. And so,
Oh, that's so nice.
building the memories, yes. And at the end of it, we automatically, or like our algorithm automatically designs a book of all the.
That's great. That sounds amazing. Yeah. And can you already buy this app or download the app?
You can already download the app. Thank you for asking. It's free, and I can just really recommend it to all your listeners. Of course, because like it's my app, but also because son has a birthday in January, so his book is almost finished by now, and
Oh, that's
so
nice.
much fun, like going through this book, scrolling through it alone or with your child, and looking at all the memories, and it's done in a really beautiful way. It's very aesthetically done. And yes, and I really already look forward to this moment where I can just push this button, print, and everything is done without any work from my side. I'm already looking forward to this.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect solution for people who are extremely busy. And, we were talking about Christmas presents. So, is this book also, like, is this photo book an option to gift, like, grandparents, or is it only for you?
Interesting interesting question, because of course it would be a perfect gift. The question is just, will it be ready in time for Christmas? Because we decided to not go year by year, year by calendar year, but life of your child year by year.
Okay.
So not every child's birthday is in November, so you can have it done in December and give it to the grandparents. But we want to add next year that you can also, just not from one book, because maybe you have more kids than one, but from
Yeah.
all the books that you made in the last calendar year, create a photo book of all these photos and also anecdotes. So this
Oh,
is
nice.
something that we will add next year. For this year, I would suggest it's more the other way around, that grandparents can gift this to the kids.
Okay, yeah.
If they gift a book or a package of 3 or 5, then maybe there will be even a book for them at the end. Something really valuable that they can give their grandchildren without any more like plastic toys.
That's
And
so good.
it
Yeah.
also helped the parents, like in a financial way, of course, and they will also benefit also during this year that the family will build a book, because we have a feed where parents can invite, for example, grandparents to the book, grandchildren, and grandparents will get all the latest anecdotes and photos automatically in their feed.
Oh, so it becomes like a nice family project as
Yes,
well.
it's
Yeah.
a family project, and it also relieves again the parents of work. Of work.
Oh, that's
And
great.
so you don't have to remember sending grandmother photos anymore. She will have them.
That's perfect. Great, Sarah. Thank you so much for all of these amazing insights that you've given us, and also this work that you've started. Sounds really exciting. I'm curious to see where it goes. My last question to you is, I mean, you've already said so many amazing things that are helpful to our listeners, but if there's one piece of advice you have for the confused mothers that are listening in, what would it be?
Be kind to yourself. Give yourself time. Not time to figure it out, not only time to figure it out, but real time for yourself to do something that is good for you. Maybe yoga, maybe meeting friends, maybe both. Calm yourself, ground yourself. You're important as well. And once you are feeling all right and like yourself again, you will figure everything out.
That's great. You are important as well. That's an amazing message for all the confused mothers out there. Thank you, Sara, so much for being with us today. If you liked this interview, why not subscribe to my channel? Share the story with anyone you think might be interested in it. To support my work, you can do so for just the price of a coffee. You can find the information in the show notes. Thank you.